All right, guys. How's everybody doing today? One of the things that we're gonna start doing a little bit on the channel, those of you that have come to watch what we do, um, if you come to watch what we do, you see that we do a lot of tutorials, things like that, and we love doing that for you. We kind of decided that we're going to start streaming live when we're building the tutorials to kind of give you a different behind the scenes flavor of what we do, kind of the process that we go through to do something. And because I always find that it's one thing when you get a tutorial and it's all been cut together and edited, and you don't necessarily see the process that we go through to build it, right? And it's just kind of a all right, here's do this thing, do this thing, do this thing, but that isn't always necessarily exactly how it goes. So what we want to do is I'm going to sorry, I'm going to readjust the camera here for a second. Oh, please. Those things. I'm having one of those days today, guys. Okay, there we go. So we're going to go through kind of the process. I'm going to share my screen here. One second here, just so you can kind of see. Um, man, I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm assuming that you can. Let me just check real quick here. Sorry, this is being a little bit rough here. I just wanted to make sure that you can see it. All right, there it is. Okay, cool. What I wanted to show you is last week I was on vacation. I took a trip out to the Great Smoky Mountains National Forest in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I am really big on getting out from behind the computer. I'm really big on going and looking at actual things so that you can really see what things look like. It's absolutely one thing to go and find stuff on YouTube, to go find stuff on a Google, just go search up images on Google and whatnot. But um, getting out into the real world is huge, and so that's one of the things that I'm going to kind of be on about. I've got a lot of images that I took. I specifically went there, obviously on vacation, but like to kind of show things to bring back because I had an intention of building some tutorials based on stuff that I saw. So now this is kind of where we go a little bit behind the scenes on how kind of what the process is, right? So now this that I'm using, this is called PureRef. It's a program that I actually find to be super useful for just creating a general palette of images in a reference stuff that you want to throw out there for a project, right? And so these are all photos that I took when I was in the Smoky Mountains, and like I said, this whole thing is going to be about look deving a forest, and those are some of the best forests that you're gonna ever see. I mean, you might go to see the Muir Woods in California, or there are lots of forests you can go to, but um, I grew up in Minnesota, and so I know what forests are like, and the ones in the Smokies in Tennessee, very very similar to those that are in Minnesota, and so there's a lot to look for there, and so when I'm using PureRef here, I'm just starting to go through some of my reference stuff, and I want to categorize it so that I can make it easy to find. Um, and so in PureRef here, I've already started to just make one for moss, okay, and because the moss is a huge deal in the forest, and so now I'm just going to double click. You can kind of see this is what moss looks like on the trees, or this one. I love the way that the moss has covered this downed tree. And this is just great reference stuff for this. This is one of my favorites actually. Just the photos of just the way the moss and the lichen cover the trees there. There's something about it that is really artistic and really special, actually. Um, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, like when you're actually out in the woods, when you're out, and it doesn't matter if you're in the woods, it doesn't matter what your project is, but if you go on location, if at all possible, you're going to see things that you didn't think were possible, or things that you would never see on a just on a YouTube channel, or on just looking up images. You're not knowing exactly what to look for, but in the forest, moss is a big deal, and if you don't put it in there, it's not going to look like a real forest, and so that's something that's cool. I mean, it ends up on bricks. It's all over the place, and the base of trees and things like that. So that's one of the categories that I'm gonna break these images up into. And as I'm looking at this, we'll just take a moment to not talk about the moss for a second. Ground cover is probably the most important thing that you're gonna need to deal with, because a forest in particular is, it's just a collection of decay, right? Leaves fall, branches fall off, trees die, and then new trees grow up. And so the entire floor of a forest is nothing but decayed material. And so, getting that right, or at least setting the stage for that so that it looks right, is important. So, like I said, moss is one thing of reference, but like the way the ground cover works and it looks, that's really important, because you can't just throw, random plants in there. It won't make any sense. So it's a matter of looking at stuff like that. So there's that. Now I would say I'm I'm gonna create a new node here, and I'm gonna call it ground cover. Just ground, for example. Okay. And that's so this is a really good example. So I'm just gonna start to categorize some um here. Ground. I'll slide these together. And I've got another one too, that I'm gonna use, like leaves, or trees more than anything. And when I say trees, I actually mean like the way the density of the trees, the way the light falls in the trees, that sort of thing. And so that's a specific category on its own, right? And so, and then another one is going to be water, um, because this one in particular, I intend to actually um, also create a running stream through it. I've got some waterfalls, I've got some other running water in there. So like we'll do water. Why can't there you go. No, no, there it is. Okay, water. Okay. So I'm just gonna kind of go through these. That's trees, that's trees, that's water, right? Um, Now, yeah, there are going to be some that are going to split, between trees and ground cover. But this is actually some, kind of hybrid of all of it, actually. So, like, for example, you can see great views of ground coverage. You can see all the randomness of like the fallen trees, the moss, even the light in the trees itself. Um, but there's so much randomness in it, and that's one of the things that you have to capture. You've got, you know, dead things, moss covered things. You've got trees growing on top of each other. You've got, like, tiny little shrublets that are growing up. Leaves all over the ground, stuff like that, right? So, and this one's actually a great one. I put it in a ground cover, but this is great for tree spacing too, right? So you can kind of just see the density of the forest. Um, you know, it's it's one thing when you're on Unreal, and Unreal is where I'm going to be building this whole thing. It's one thing if you're in there and you're just randomly throwing trees in there and you're doing your thing. Well, that's cool, right? That can get you somewhere pretty quick. But at the same time, if it doesn't look appropriately placed or appropriately random enough, it isn't going to look right. It's like and forests are really like a an outcome of randomness. What trees survived, which ones were getting enough sunlight, that sort of thing. Unless it's a cultivated forest where they planted in rows and things like that, there's going to be a lot of randomness in there. So we're going to just go about categorizing some stuff, and then we'll take a little bit of a look at what's what. I've got another one for flowers too. I'll just create that over here. One of the things that I like a lot about Pure Rough is just that it's a big open canvas. It it reminds me a lot, if anybody uses Nuke, of just kind of the way the node trees, when you can build them, that space is just purely wide open, and so this reminds me of that a lot. Um, all right, so softflower, here we go, flowers. I'm missing a few images here, but I'll go back and find them. Um, Here's more ground cover. Weirdly, I took a lot of shots of the ground, and I'll admit I probably looked a bit of a fool to people, And you guys, it's part of the sickness, right? I go on vacation and I do nothing but like take pictures of brick walls and things like that. How was your vacation? Well, here's a brick wall. Oh, wow. Good for you. So I'm just gonna keep moving stuff around. So I've got I have trees also. So like there were some amazing scenes in there. I'm just gonna throw these all together. Some more. I've tons, so many trees. It's ridiculous. Um, Here's ground cover. Now this is the deal, you guys, too. Like since I'm doing this live, you kind of get that's the one thing that you don't get when you're looking at yeah, I don't need that one. Um, that you don't get when you're watching a tutorial. It's like it's all cut together. And so yeah, that's nice. Um yeah, I'll stick that up there. Okay, so yeah, like this one looks a little bit funky. This was just kind of a heavy trodden trail, but I liked it. I took this one specifically because um it has a really good, I could absolutely find a texture that looks very similar to this in Quixel Bridge, and I probably will. But I'm gonna stick this underground here. Um, and this one's a great one. Actually, this I really like this photo a lot. Not because I shot it well necessarily, but if you really look at it, you can see there's so many different things going on in here. So you've got the forest itself. There's all these kind of river rock in here, and you've got all these low plants that are covering over all this dead stuff. So um, the first thing that we're going to ultimately do as we build this thing, I'm going to go through a just a short kind of a groundscape building thing, and that's going to be the next time I go live. We'll start talking about how to do that, and just because you got to get the ground right, otherwise it's not going to feel right. All right, so but this is a really good one for reference, and I will I'll stick that in here. Um, yeah, that's the Gatlinburg Trail for anybody who cares. I'll stick that up there. I think another one that I could do is just plants. Um, and not all of these are going to find a categorization in them, but I think it's going to be super useful here. You guys, I've been doing this for like, 30 years. I really I started in the mid 1990s doing this. And one of the things that I kind of wish that I had done a little bit better is kept like more of a digital library of like all the stuff that I've shot over the years because I haven't done a great job with that, but I have a real passion for like using the environment in which you live to impact your work, right? And so I'm planning on doing that a lot better. I got a couple of other ones here that I think are really cool, and this is going to go into the groundscape also. But like this is just like the root structures of things, which I think is really cool. You get the root does they adds a lot of stuff to the groundscape. Now this is another really cool one. It's actually I've got a video of this also. Just this dead tree and the stream running by. It's really cool. I'm put that under water actually over here. I'll do a better job of organizing here in a minute. This is just gonna be plants. It's like look at the density or the diversity, I think is the word that I'm looking for here in the types of plants. We got a lot of ferns in here. You've got a lot of this there's a lot of little bits of grass, like these forest grasses, and then you've got these other plants in here that have got these little flat leaves, and then of course there's rocks and stuff on the ground. This is a great a really really good one as an example of what you could make the groundscape look like in there. So I'm going to put this one over. I think ground is, where is it? Yeah, I'm going to put this one right at the top because I like that one a lot as an important one. Um, yeah, ground. There's a lot of them. Probably probably too many, but it's all good. This one's a great one too. This is actually just a fun little waterfall. I've got video of this also. And it gives you a really nice look at what the rock structures look like around there and how the plants and the trees surround that. So this one's going to go up in my water category here, right? So I'll do that. What I got here? I'm going to go with ground on this. There's water in here too, but that's going to be ground. So what I'll probably end up doing here is going through now. Once I get them sorted a little bit, I'll start going through and just kind of prioritizing the ones that I really like. And and this is just part of the process. I don't really love that one. I can say for sure that I'm not going to use that one. Um, the only reason I think I probably snapped this was just because I liked the way they built this rough hewn sort of fence there. And I don't have a real category for it, but here's more water. And now that some of these are getting out of the way, I'm gonna be a little bit more specific about where they go. So yeah, this is more ground cover. I like this one a lot. Actually, I'll stick that one up the top. Um, yeah, lots of ground. Now, what's kind of cool here is that you can just draw a box around things and move things around to make it a little bit more, give yourself a little bit more space when you need it. You know, if you want to organize. So that's good. And now, yeah, we're getting better here. In the moment, it was like, I know I shot this for a reason. Now that I'm looking at it, I think it was just more to kind of look at the way the water was running through and the roots and stuff. I don't necessarily love that one, but I'll throw it over here. Yeah, this is a completely different area, but I'm going to throw that under water also. Which, come on. I'm going to organize my water, I think, a little bit better now. So, yeah, this is actually a completely different forest. This was much more pine trees, which is way higher up in elevation. Um, so, I'm going to put that under trees. I'm going to take my water stuff here and I'm going to just slide it a little bit more out of the way so I've got a little bit more room. And I'll take my trees and I'm going to move those a little bit, right? Just try to organize it a little bit better. So it's same. Now my ground here is I really messed this up. There we go. Yeah, so this is it's starting to work now. But you guys, I cannot express to you how important some of this stuff is. Okay, I've got more moss here, which I really like. And so I'm going to use that. Take these guys here and I'm going to throw them under moss, which is over here. And these are really cool ones, actually. Just the way the stuff grows, and it's really cool. One of the things you can kind of see here is these droplets of water that form because it's a really wet forest. Actually, you get in there and the ground is really soaked. Um, Even when it hasn't been raining, there's a lot, and you can just kind of see like how all of that comes together. Um, I really liked these actually. And of course, moss also forms on top of buildings too. And again, like these are the kind of things that if you're not in the environment, you're not going to see it. Like you're just not going to mentally process that. Wow, moss is kind of a huge deal out in the forest. So I'm glad I went. It's certainly useful. So yeah, now I'm starting to get a little bit more categorized here. What else we got over here? Looks like more water. See a lot of water actually. And now, oh, and this one's really good. This is one of my favorites actually. Um, it's actually a really pretty shot. Um, this for me, you guys would probably end up being a shot that I would use as a key reference to the way light falls into a forest. And what I really liked about it, and I remember taking this photo actually, um, is that the light tends to really explode. Like when it hits the green of the leaves, they almost become translucent in some way, and so they like ignite in this almost neon sort of green. But whereas and then just right next to them, there's no light hitting any of these leaves, and they fall off into these little patches of dark. But it's important to have reference like this so you can see exactly what it's going to do, so that you can start to when you get to the point of having your trees in place, now you can start to fill in some of the lighting and make it do what you want it to do. I'm going to make another category. Let's see, called light. There's note. Okay. Okay. So, where was it? It was this one. I have several of those actually that I took. And you know what's crazy about some of these too is that they look amazing in black and white. I was using a Sony A7 for this. I think it's a 50 millimeter lens that I was using. So no zoom on it. So, I had to move in and do the things that I wanted to do. But I also had my iPhone 15 with me, which took some amazing photos too on its own. And I just in some of the settings, I just went in and put like silver tone on some of my forest stuff, and I loved the results. It looked so almost Ansel Adams in a way, and I like that. It's got there's some just really beautiful things that you can get with stuff like that because it's so full of texture. When you turn something black and white, it becomes only about light, dark, and texture, and that is such a fun way to look at things. Sometimes I really find. Um, all right, I got some signage here. We were right up on the Appalachian Trail, so that splits right between I think it's North Carolina and Tennessee. Really, really beautiful area. And I've got this is another one of moss. This is really cool. Just like an old, like dead pine tree, but the way the moss kind of takes it over. I don't know if the moss killed it or not, but there's some really cool stuff here. So I'm gonna throw that under moss also, which I think is up here. There we go. So you can see that I'm just starting to get this dialed in. And yeah, I got some more flowers. These are nice. These flowers are beautiful, actually. And what was cool about this too, by the way, was just as we were walking through the forest, it was mostly green. It looked mostly like this. It's just trees, grass. That's what I'm going to use this one for light reference also. Um, but and then all of a sudden you come upon this patch of just beautiful purple flowers, like in the middle of everything, like, and it's like, well, how did those get there? I actually have obviously no idea, but like, you know, your mind starts turning a little bit on this, and you have to look at it and go, well, yeah, the flowers are a part of it, right? Every bit as much as moss and trees are a part of it. You got to have little places where flowers exist too. Otherwise, it's not going to look right. So I'm going to take these guys here and I'll put them over in flowers, right? Um, and I'm going to throw this one in light. So let's see if I got other ones that I like. I actually really liked the way the trees looked in here. It's very cool. Again, this one was at the highest elevation in the park. So the higher you go, less oxygen you get, the more hardy you're going to have for the trees, and ends up being the pine trees that are the ones that are the kind of the survivors. These two are moss, and I'll throw them over here. And yeah, it's starting to get it sorted out a little bit better. Um, I took this shot because I really liked the roots, but you can see like this is great for ground. It's great for plant life and stuff like that. One of the things that I really found, and I think I'm gonna wrap it up here in a little bit. And the next time when I go live, we'll start talking about how I'm gonna do my first base setup of what's going on in Unreal. But when you're thinking about doing forested area, right, you've got to make sure that you give the plants an opportunity to have like no plants, right? Oftentimes, when you've got trees kind of block out the sun, and they tend to make it difficult for plants to grow underneath the canopy of the tree, right? So sometimes you'll have trees where it's just dirt below them, and you want to make sure that you build that kind of stuff in because if it looks too perfect, then you're fighting uncanny, right? And so that's one of the things that we really want to make sure that we do is add some bare spots in there because they exist. That's just part of how it is. That's going to go into ground. I think this one, yeah, this one I'm going to use much more for like light reference. here. I can feel the same way about this. Let's see here. Yeah, this is I want to show you guys one other thing, then we'll wrap it up here. I found a um this place is called Cades Cove. And it's a beautiful drive back in there, but they have a working corn mill, right? It's back in this valley that like there was literally no way anybody should have ever found their way back there, right? But you know, settlers in the early 1800s in America found their way back there, and they literally had to build everything they had because getting to quote unquote town was days of trek through mountains and stuff like that. So they built a really cool working mill, and it grinds corn. They This is right on the edge of it here too. So and this whole thing here just runs the water like it goes way back up the creek, so they can control the water flow for the speed, you know. And then as the water comes through here, this is the essentially the wheel, and it turns the wheel for it, and whatnot, and the amount of water that's hitting it, the more water, the faster the thing turns. So they want to be really specific about how it works. I've got video from inside there, which let's see, hold on. I'm gonna stop sharing here for a second. See if I can show you some of this video of this. Man. Not all my video has made it down, unfortunately, but hold on. All right, hold on. I'm gonna share my screen here real quick, just so you guys can see it. This is the inner workings of it, which like I'm such a nerd when it comes to this stuff, but like um, this is what it looks like. So this is inside this thing, right? And they dump the corn into this hopper up here. It filters down and through this screen, and then inside this round area is actually the millstone that gets turned by the this is the mill wheel, and so that gets turned. So it does this. This is what it looks like. I'll show you in 1 second here. I'm gonna Yeah, here we go. Okay, so um yeah, only me is probably sticking their camera down in there to look, but I thought this was fascinating. So this axle outside runs to essentially the paddle wheel. It turns this gear, which in turn turns this gear, which then this drive shaft goes up to spinning the grinding wheel, right? And what you get is that's doing that thing, and yeah. Um, so I'm gonna get to the end here. Is go, but here's the end, right? This right here is actually the product. So essentially, right there, if anyone's from the South or wherever you happen to be in the world, essentially this is what we would call in the United States grits, right? Corn grits, or my mom would call it cornmeal mush. Polenta, anything like that. It's like it's all basically the same thing. This is the product of this of the mill, and so there it is. And I had like such respect for what the settlers did. Like, just literally building a community of, and it was a community of people. It's like churches, it's cemeteries, it's this whole massive valley out there that um they can't you can't imagine it. So Anyway, that's it for today. I'm going to show you more as in the coming days. So thank you guys for